Hey, it's Brandon again, and today we're attacking Circuit of the Americas, doing a track guide here with the BMW M4 GT3 car. Now, heading up to the steep first turn there, we're going to be looking for a white line on the green part of the track, and it's going to be alongside one of the boards on the right, which we'll see very shortly, just over here. We're looking for the 100 board, and there's a white line on the green stuff. We're going to be braking right alongside that, braking heavy up towards the first turn, very blind turn there. But we want to make sure that we avoid that big sausage curb on the inside there, because that'll ruin our turn. Then as we get to the apex, we can begin to accelerate again, pulling out the turn. Not running too wide on the exit. You can't really see it in this view, but on that green part of the track, there's some orange curb strips that will mess you up on exit, so avoid those. Now for probably the most difficult part of the track, but before we get that, there's these red curbs here. Whenever you go over these, be careful, because if you cut too much over the curb, if you go over the white line with all your wheels, you'll get an invalid lap. Same with this section. So here we want to make sure we're not cutting over that white line with all our wheels. And now we want to get our line right. So back to the left here, we're going to start lifting off the throttle, braking a little bit to help slow the car down as the turns get tighter. Again, we're keeping at least 2 wheels on the track, and we're making sure we're using as much of the available limits as we can as well. Here, again, same story. We want to keep at least 2 wheels on the track, but using as much of the curb as we can. Also slowing the car down just a little bit more, because these bends are getting a little bit tighter. Using a little bit of the throttle here as it straightens up again. Now here we're going to begin to brake, because it does tighten up and curl around to the right here. So as we go over this apex, again, not going too much over, but we're beginning to brake. Just a bit of trail braking and a bit of coasting as we let the car pull back towards the inside. Now we're going to use this inside curb again, but same story. We're not going to put all our wheels off of the track. Just using it and getting on throttle again, pulling the car back to the right side of the track to open up our entry line for the next turn. And we're going to begin turning into this left-hander here as this concrete wall on the right starts. So as that begins, we're going to attack this turn. A little bit of trail braking to help pull the front end in, and don't cut too much over this curb strip in the apex there. If we cut too much, we might invalidate the lap, or just throw the car up in the air, and that'll ruin our corner. A little bit of throttle up to this next turn, where we're going to brake just as the green transitions to red, just a little bit before that. And we want to hug this turn right here. We want to be very tight. Again, not cutting too much over, but hugging as much as we can on the edge of the limits, because we want to straighten up our line for the next turn here. So as we straighten up, we should be positioned right here. We don't want to be any further to the left, because then we tighten up this turn for ourselves, which makes it more difficult. You should just about be able to take this turn flat out if you've got the line right, and you can use a little bit of this curb on the inside there to help pull you around to shorten and straighten your line up. You might need to do a little bit of throttle control, and make sure you don't run too wide on exit. Again, like before, you don't want to cross that white line or you will invalidate your lap. But you can carry a lot of speed through here. I think there's a lot of time to be either lost or gained through there. And now we come up to the hairpin, which is also an incredibly difficult turn, because you can't really see the apex once you're deep into the braking zone. So here we're going to be braking alongside the 100 board. There's another white line across the green part of the track, braking alongside that, going deep into the turn, first gear. And now we kind of have to predict where the apex is. We really do not want to hit that big sausage curb on the inside. That'll completely ruin our corner and the exit. So narrowly avoiding that. And as we get to the apex, hard on the throttle, and avoiding those orange strips on the exit that'll hurt our exit speed. And then we get to breathe a little bit going down the back straight. That is probably most of the difficult stuff done. There's still some difficult sections to go. Now as we come up to the next turn, we're again looking at the green part of the track. There should be another white line that goes across, and we're going to brake just after that. So just over here, we're looking at the 150 board, the white line that's next to that. We're braking just after that white line. Don't brake too late, but brake a little bit after it, and down to first gear. I actually broke a little too late and turned a little too early. Got my line a little bit wrong in this case, but it's not too bad. Again, we want to avoid that big sausage curb on the inside, and also avoid running onto the orange strips on the exit. Using all of the track though, and getting on the throttle quite early after the apex. Using all the track, then back to the left side. We are again looking on the green part of the track for that line that goes across as we get to the outside of the track. Braking just after that. And we're going to be tight on this hairpin first gear. Don't go onto that inside orange curb there. Be very gentle on the throttle here. We don't want to get the rear end moving around too much. And on this curb, don't cut it too much, because just like the other parts of the track, going over the white line can invalidate your lap. Here we're using the apex of that turn as a braking reference. We're going to be braking just before that, as you can see where the track rubbers up there. Braking in a straight line down to first gear. Another difficult turn because you can't really see the apex. But make sure you're not hitting that big sausage curb on the inside, and just getting towards the normal curb. And again, not running onto orange strips on exit, using all of the track. I could have got this one a little bit better. I was a little too cautious on that particular attempt, but not too bad. Now here is, you want to look for the grass on the left side. We're going to turn in before we get to the end of that, gradually turning in and a little bit tighter as we get into it. There's one apex right there, and then we lift off the throttle between that first apex and the second apex. So as you'll see right here, I'm going to lift off the throttle before we get to that second one. A little bit of trail braking to help pull the front end in, and when we know the front end's going to keep pulling towards the inside, that's when we get back on the throttle again. And we should make it close to this third apex at the end of the turn, and then pulling the car back to the right side again. We're looking for the 50 board. We're braking a little bit before that, so there's no other strong braking references here, but braking a little bit before that 50 board and avoiding that sausage curb on the inside there, because that'll completely mess this turn up for us. But we're going to get close to it through here, third gear out to the exit. We can use a bit more curb than I did here, but if you go a little wider, the underbody can catch on that second row of curbing there, which kind of slows you down. And then for the final braking zone, we're looking for those white boards on the grass there, braking alongside that. Heavy braking down to first gear again, and it's just like the other few corners. We want to avoid the inside sausage curb, using the normal curb, and as we get to the apex, picking up the throttle, not too hard. We want to control that throttle, and for the final time, we're avoiding those nasty orange strips on the exit of the turn. And that's a really tiring lap done at this track. It's one of the most difficult ones I've done in ACC, to be honest. It's also one of the longest ones, and there's absolutely room for improvement, but that's a fairly solid lap for now, and I hope this gives you guys a bit of help getting up to speed around cota. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show the lap again without the interruption, so you can see the lap in one steady motion. And after that, to finish the video, we're going to look at the pit stop braking point so we can get that nailed. I'll see you in a couple minutes. So that's another look at the lap here, and now let's take a look at the pit braking point. So coming through the last turns as we normally would, carrying our speed through here. Now we're looking out for that sign that goes across the track, the ACC sign. We're going to be braking just after we go under that, as you can see there. And this is kind of a complicated brake or pit entry here, because we're going to have to trail brake as we turn in, coming off the brakes, carrying a little bit of speed to the pit line and pressing the pit limiter as we get to that line. Braking at that point I just showed seemed pretty much perfect for me, so hopefully it'll be alright for you. And for those of you who have stuck around this long in the video, we're going to take a look at that hairpin at the back of the track again, because that one's very difficult to see in the cockpit of the car. So I'm going to show a bit of an external view here, firstly from third person as we come into the turn, just so we can see what it's like getting and how close we're getting to that curb on the inside. We just don't want to be hitting that big nasty sausage thing right on the inside of the turn. That'll really wreck your turn and the exit. And here's a bird's eye view of it. It's actually a very essential, like a middle apex there, not too late, not too early. It's just very difficult to see when you're in the cockpit. Anyways, good luck for this. I hope this video has helped and catch you all very soon.